What is up, party people? Welcome back to another Miss of Pandaria class overview. So next in the series of going over every class in spec. By the way, if you're not subbed, please sub the channel if you want to learn more about MoP classes coming up. I'm trying to go over every healer and ultimately, hopefully, every single DPS as well. Every spec in the game that I can do, I am going to do, so make sure you're subbed so you don't miss out on any of the other ones, so you can help decide on what you want to play going into MoP Classic. So we're going to be talking about today the Holy Priest, potentially the most sought after healer into Miss Pandaria, because there was gameplay called the Chakra System that was in MoP that was never seen again. Nothing of these lengths was ever seen again. For what reason, I do not know. Maybe it was too complex, too difficult for these people. But it was in MoP, and you will enjoy it, I promise you. So let's get into it here. So we're going to be talking about big changes that are coming in, whether you're from a Cataclysm perspective or a retail perspective. I'm going to try to blend the two, because I've played Cataclysm, played retail. Holy Priest, not so much Holy Priest, but I can kind of just try to mesh them the best I can and talk about things that are going on, things changes, and just give you an idea how the class works in here. And then when it comes to viability, I'll let you know on that as well. So first off here, we want to talk about what has changed. What are the big changes here? So we are actually going to use the core abilities, or what's changed here. Many old talents have become specializations. So this is something that's common within every single spec in the game. They took those hefty talent trees and condensed them into a lot of passives to the classes themselves, and made it a lot easier in terms of talent choices, so everyone has a little bit more. The Chakra System. So the Chakra System is a really cool, almost like a stance, like a warrior stance, that you can choose to either do damage, to do more single target healing, or do some AoE healing. And we're going to talk more about that in a sec. Shadow Priest, we don't care there. Wands are now held in the main hand. It's an alternative to weapons, so there's no more wands. That's just a generic thing. And then the core abilities. So this is just generally how the healing works. I like that they have this here. I don't have to think of it myself. Prayer Mending is used on cooldown, just like in retail, just like in every other expansion that ever was. Palm is still the same. Renew, just a passive hot to keep on your target at all times. Flash Heal is just a fast, expensive heal. Heal is a cheap heal. Greater heal is a large heal. This is something very common, and you're going to see in healer design across Miss of Pandaria. Every healer has one of these three. Or has all of three, has one of each category in like 3 heals. And then obviously the Chakra System to switch from single target healing to AoE healing to damage. So let's get into the actual spells that you're going to be working with here. We're going to run through everything, just kind of give you the general ideas. So I'll save Angelic Feather, that's a talent. Binding Heal, still in the game, just heals a friendly target and the caster, kind of like a nice way to heal 2 targets up at once. Not as much often used, especially. Oh, I forgot to also note, if you are new to my channel, I do gear towards PvP. I'm going to keep this video very generalized, but I might throw little bits of PvP knowledge in there, because that is primarily my gameplay, and that's what I know best. So this is something, for example, not really used so much in PvP, because we need those fast emergency heals or the slow chunky heals. Not really kind of finding that in between. Chakras. So the 3 chakras here, this is the most exciting part, and this is the most fun part about this spec. Your chakras. So you have Chakra Chastise. Increases the damage of your shadow and holy spells by 50% and gives a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Holy Word Chastise. So a thing that you're going to notice is that you have a chance to reduce the cooldown or just completely reset it. Versus like in retail version of Chastise, it's a constant CDR, cooldown reduction. You actually just get a chance to immediately refresh it, which can be good or bad, depending on how you're looking at it. So not only does it do 50% more damage, but the important part is it does costs 90% less mana to cast Smite and Holy Fire, which is super, super massive, because you can pump serious damage without losing a lot of mana. And this is a problem from both Cataclysm and any expansion before this, basically, and even to extent in MoP, it's gotten better. But healers damage costing too much mana is a big downfall in the design, I think, and they slowly move the other way. And there's a reason why in retail you're dealing damage doesn't cost mana anymore, because it wasn't the best decision, I think. So this is a really cool thing to have. And then obviously your prime ability in here is Holy Word Chastise. Does a nice chunk of damage. It does equivalent. It's actually not the biggest chunk of damage, to be honest. 20k. It's less than a Holy Fire, but it does disorient them for 3 seconds on a 30-second cooldown, and obviously you can reset it like I was talking about before. So it's like a 3-second disorient. I believe it's a poly DR. They use it on them. No, it doesn't show it on those things, but I believe it's a poly DR as well. So if you're talking about PvP. We got Chakra Sanctuary. Increases the healing done by your AoE effects by 25%, reduces the cooldown of Circle of Healing by 2 seconds, and transforms Chastise into a Sanctuary. Okay, so when I do use this, I'm going to have an ability called Holy Word Sanctuary, which you put on the ground, just like it is in retail, and where it's just like a nice AoE heal. It's like an efflorescence or a healing rain kind of thing. So if you're ever healing any AoE healing, this is what you want to be chilling in. 40-second cooldown on this. Chakra Serenity. So Serenity, this is your single target healing now. And it increases all single target healing by 25%, causes them, your single target heals to also refresh renew. So if I do have renew on my target here, if it's ticking down, if I do cast a flash heal into it, it's going to reset the cooldown of it, or refresh the duration. So really, really efficient single target healing. And then finally, you do get Holy Word Serenity. So Holy Word Serenity, 10-second cooldown, big chunky heal, big chunky heal. And it is very cheap on mana as well. Yeah, 6k mana, very cheap in mana, and it also increases the critical effect chance of your healing spells to that target by 25%. So if you do use a Serenity and then spam some flash heals, much more likely to get a crit during those windows. So nice chunky crits there. And yeah, so that's your chakra for doing the healing. The really cool thing about this is there's a 5-second cooldown to swap chakras, and the cooldowns do not alternate with one another. So what you could theoretically do, right, is you could pop your Holy Word Serenity, do a bunch of healing. Oh, we're done with damage. I could swap back to my, damage chakra, start doing some damage. Oh, we're taking a little bit of AoE healing. I could swap to my other one, pop my Sanctuary, pop a heal out or two. Cooldown comes back up, I can go back to doing damage. So really, really cool way. It almost reminds me of like a current version of like Wrestle Druid, retail Wrestle Druid. You need heals, you swap into the healing chakra, you press your heals, you press your Serenity, you can throw some flash heals in there. Oh, you're done healing, let's go back to DPS stance, do more damage. Super, super cool gameplay. It reminds me, like I said, a lot of like Wrestle Druid in retail, where you can shift into cat form, do a bunch of damage, or Moonkin form, probably more relatable. And then do a bunch of damage, shift out, do your healing, go back into damage form, do a bunch of damage. So you kind of can do a little bit of everything, and it does take a little bit of a skill to it, which is really, really cool. And, tracking all 3 of these cooldowns, intertwining all the chakras at the same time, and being aware of it. There's also, like, I know in PvP, people were talking about how you can have chakra macros, so you can actually, because the chakras change is actually off global, so you could actually global a chakra change into one of those abilities immediately. And also you could actually drop a chakra, so if you cancel aura your chakra, you can go right to chastise. I believe you can do that off cooldown too, if I can remember correctly. So if I'm in yellow chakra, if I'm hold on, let me change. I could cancel aura here. Does that work? Yeah, then you can do it. So while the cooldown is still incurring on your chakras, you can actually cancel aura, have a macro for that, and get a fast chastise in case you need like an emergency chastise or something. Another really cool little thing, little neat PvP trick in there. So chakras, that covers that. Most exciting part about all of this. So circle healing, moving along. Circle healing is still the same thing, just a nice AoE heal, instant cast. Dispel magic, this is like your purge ability. Same old divine hymn, just like in all the others. Just your big AoE heal, you cast it, heals through everything, goes through walls, go through LOS, usually, I believe. Yes, definitely does. Divine Star is a talent, we'll get to that later. Fade, still same thing. Fear Ward, yes, still in the game. People were asking about that. Fear Ward is still in the game, just how it is. Really, really niche, cool ability to use in PvP, using it intelligently timed, or maybe even used as like a purge protection kind of thing. Flash heals, we talked about the heals already. Guardian Spirit, we got a, I believe, no, Guardian Spirit was in the game before this, but this is a 3-minute cooldown, low mana cost. It increases all of the healing received by the target by 60%. Also saves them if they're about to die, just like in retail. Okay, castable while stunned. One thing to note, you do not have that refresher if the person doesn't die, like in retail. If you pop Guardian Spirit and they don't die, it reduces the cooldown by like a minute or 2 minutes, whatever it is. So you do have, this is just a 3-minute cooldown, which is good and bad how you look at it. No, it's just worse than retail. What am I talking about? Dumbass. Sorry. We got more heals. Holy Fire here. Holy Fire cool change going into from Cataclysm is Holy Fire is now instant cast. So you could just free up Holy Fire and not have to worry about casting it anymore. Smite is still casted, obviously, but really cool to have this for both Disc and Holy. Just simple as that. More instant casts. This was something that they generally did across the board with a lot of the healers, is they gave them a lot more instant casts, and which honestly made the healer design in PvP at least a lot more better. I say that all the time. Anyway, Chastise, we talked about that. Hymn of Hope, just like it is, gives you mana return, and increases their total mana by 8% for 8 seconds. Inner Fire, Inner Will, again, just like they are in Cataclysm. Inner Fire gives you the armor plus spell power. Inner Will gives you the mana reduction and the movement speed. So you can swap between the two. Looks like there's no cooldown on them now, though. Okay, that is an observation. So there actually is no mana cost. So you have actually you have 2 sets of stance dancing essentially. Wow, that's a lot of keybinds right there, man. But maybe this is why they got rid of the chakra system. It was just a little bit too complex. Leap of Faith, same as it is in Cataclysm. Lightwell, so Lightwell you do not have to click, I believe, anymore. Going from the I think the earlier versions of it. So use Lightwell, and it will attempt to heal party members lower than 50% health. Attacks done to your target equal to 30% or more. One thing to notice is that it is killable. It has 300k health, so you can also kill it. I know in PvP people would try to hide this. There's also ways you could like glitch it to be in the pillar so nobody could see it or hit it. But it is killable, just so you know, in PvP. Unlike in the previous retail versions. Maybe not, maybe like Dragonflight or something. I don't know. MD, still the same. You have Mind Seer, Mind Vision. PI, against the talent, we'll get to the talents there. Power Word Shield, still the same kind of thing. Shield, honestly, not the best thing for Holy Priest. Prayer of Healing, a big AoE heal. All this stuff's the same. I'll talk about the talents in a minute. I think, is that it in terms of... Oh, and then Void Shift was added to the game for all pre-specs. So this is just like retail, 5-minute cooldown. Swaps to 2, cannot go below 25% health. So just like it is in retail. Also, something to note, this is something added in with every healer. Increases your chance to hit with Penance, Smite, Solace, Cascade, all those abilities. So you do not have to actually worry about hit chance anymore. You automatically hit capped to the max. Evangelism stayed in the game. This was a disc talent in Cataclysm. So the more you spam cast those damage abilities, the less mana they cost. And they already cost like nothing for Holy. And they increase the damage done by 4%, stacking 5 times, so up to 20% more damage done with 30% mana reduction. So it, you know, once you get going on spamming these buttons, the mana costs of some of these spells are just going to be like virtually nothing. Like if I get all the way up there, Smite costs 500 mana out of 300,000. It's virtually just doing that. It's virtually free at that point. So really cool thing to add in, and it lasts a long time. So you can just try to maintain this. So while you're doing your damage and you swap back into doing some healing, you know, you're doing your healing, blah blah blah. As long as you come back within those 15 seconds. And you can start doing damage once again to stack that up. Dark Light's a talent. Focus Will, just a passive. I believe that's in the previous expansion as well, where you reduce damage taken. Mastery, Echo of Light, still the same thing as in Retail and Cataclysm. Oh, Rapid Renewal. This became a baseline. This was a talent. You renew also in heals for an additional 50% and instantly heals for 50% of the target duration. So you do get part of a heal right away. Not too crazy, but just so you know it's there. And yeah, Serendipity became baseline. That was another talent from Holy Priest. So yeah, I think I covered it all. So let's move on to the talents next. Just saying, man. Moving on to the talents. This is a fun spot because Priest talents were sick, and they were a big reason why Priest became a lot more fun going from Kata to Mists of Pandaria. First row here we have Void Tendrils, which is just like the retail version. You get that root that you have to kill the tendrils to actually get out. So really, really useful against melee or just AoE mob. Maybe you're rooting a bunch of mobs in a dungeon or something like that. Siphene, this was the notorious version of Siphene. So Siphene you put down, and this thing will spam cast Fear on things. So it fears, and it's a good amount. I mean, in PvE, it's a 30-second fear. PvP, it's just like a warlock casting fear on you, but it's a fear bot. There was a reason this got scrapped, into later strategies because it was so strong. And something you could also do, and this goes for all of these pre-specs, is you could actually shield it. So I gotta wait for it to come back on cooldown. And then Dominate Mind, this is MC. So MC, they actually took away baseline, and you have to spec into it, which is a good thing, I think. Right? There's no mind control in here. I'm not crazy on that. Just double check myself. Yeah, we good. Okay, so Dominate Mind is mind control. You have to spec into this as well. Controls of mind up to 93. Oh, this actually doesn't work in PvP. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I learned something new today. So this has to be a level 93. A mind up to level 93. Oh, no, it does work. I'm sorry. It does work, yeah. So, okay, so you can put your Siphon down, and then you can macro it to automatically shield it. So it has a little bit 50k more health in it, because they have, like, no health at all. But being able to shield at least gives you a couple ticks on it. Next row here, we have our mobility row. We have Body and Soul, which is just, again, just like retail. When you shield or Leap of Faith, it increases the target's movement speed by 60% for 4 seconds. We have Feathers. So Feathers, this was an awesome addition to add in. Being able to pop feathers. These got to be faster. Yeah, these are 80. Oh my gosh, these are 80%. They're not this fast in retail. I think they're only like 60 in retail. So these are very, very fast, and you know you could do macros into doing them on yourself. You can macro them to your teammates, anything like that. Or you could also choose to go Phantasm, again, just like Retail. Retail brought a lot of this stuff back recently. When you fade, you remove all movement pairing effects from yourself, and your movement speed is unhindered for 5 seconds. So some niche cases you can use this. I'm just gonna reference PvP. If you have a Frost Mage on you or a Frost DK that's just spamming slow, something like Feathers may not help you out in that regard because you're slowed by so much. So you could pop Phantasm and run behind a pillar, and you're immune to slows for 5 seconds. So sometimes a better option, because Fade only has, I believe, a 10-second cooldown in this expansion. Oh no, it's 30 seconds. My bad. It lasts for 10 seconds. So just another option for you, but generally probably Angelic Feather is going to be your pick. All right, next tier here we have some mana efficiency talents. So we have Darkness Comes Light, which gives you a chance to proc a free flashlight by 50% chance of when you cast Smite or cast any healing spell to give you a free cast. So while you're doing your damage in your red chakra, it'll be. Let's see if I can proc one here. You could be getting a proc, so I get a proc. I could swap stance into my healing chakra. You know, press my Serenity, pop a big healing flash of heal, top them up, go back into my damage chakra, go back to doing damage. So really cool ability to have. You proc it off everything. Your procs could also proc procs. So your flash shield procs that you get could also proc more procs. So it's a really, really good talent. Probably a lock in from all of your for both healing specs. Mind Bender is another option, though, that you can get mana from, just like Retail. 1 minute cooldown gives you more mana. I believe this, yeah, it replaces Shadow Fiend. And then lastly, you have Solace and Insanity. So for Holy Priest, it replaces Holy Fire. And basically, I read that it does the exact same thing as Holy Fire. It just gives you 1% mana when you cast Holy Fire. Really no reason to play this, to be honest. You're better off just playing Darkness Come Light for the most part. This was later on made better, improved on in the later expansions to be Power with Solace and be a baseline disc ability later on. Okay, level 60, we have some survivability stuff. So we have Desperate Prayer, Spectral Guise, and Angelic Bulwark, all solid picks. Desperate Prayer is a big self-survivability heal, just like in Retail. Angelic Bulwark, again, just like Retail. You get when you get low health, it gives you a massive shield on yourself. Spectral Guise is the one people are probably most excited about. It basically puts it's like a vanish for yourself, and it puts down a little Spectral Guise of yourself. So you are moving for 6 seconds in stealth, or until your guise is killed. So, you know, this ability has been infamous in PvP because you're able to pop that, maybe with a feather. You could feather yourself, pop that guise, run in, and get a fear, or reposition yourself to a spot that's behind a pillar or something like that and go for a drink. So different cool little niches for that. Really unique ability. Was arguably way too strong and was later removed because of that reason. Next row here, we got some more throughput abilities. We have Twist of Fate after damaging or healing, just like Retail. 35% health, you get 15% more damage and healing. This is a really neat, more consistent healing damage, especially like in dungeons or leveling or anything like that, where you could just kind of tab target death things or pop Holy Fire on things that are low health just to get that bonus and just have that 50% damage and healing at all times. PI, on the other hand, is a really, really cool ability still. But unfortunately, in MoP, it actually became a self ability only. You can no longer PI other targets, which became kind of nice for in the sake of the parsing nature, I guess, in PvEers. They don't have to worry about it messing up parses. So 20% haste, all damage, increase all damage by 5%. I actually didn't know that until I read it right now. 5% more damage, and reduces the mana cost of all your abilities by 20%. Really, really nice self-sufficiency throughput cooldown. And then finally, we have Divine Insight. This is like the proc ability for all the specs. When you cast Greater Heal or Prayer of Healing, there is a 40% chance that your next palm will not trigger its cooldown. So unfortunately, it was a strictly AoE ability. Excuse me. Because it's kind of, I mean, I don't know how else they would have done it. Maybe like palm. I don't know how they could have done it, but this just is strictly an AoE talent, unfortunately. But both of these are going to most likely beat out that one. And then last but not least, we got the 90 tier. This was a really cool tier to come out that they ended up having Cascade, Divine Star, Heal. They later brought back these two in Retail, but they just kind of suck compared to these versions of them. So Cascade is the, I guess I'll showcase that one because that's the unique one that people probably don't remember or don't recognize if you haven't played this. Divine Star, just like Retail, it shoots out and comes back. Halo, that big halo that comes out and goes out, but Cascade actually bounces to targets from one to the next, and then it multiplies, I believe, I don't know how many times, 3 times total. So it splits out and can do some crazy AoE. Typically, if your targets are all bunched, you play Divine Star. And then if your targets are spread out, you play Cascade. Halo just wasn't the best overall because it was a very expensive mana, 40k mana, and it was hard to get like more consistent good use out of it. It was a cool thing for getting people out of stealth, though. I'll say that. So you're able to get people out of stealth with Halo. So there's that, and same with Divine Star. But typically, Cascade and Divine Star were the plays in there. Moving along to the Glyphs up next. So in the Glyphs, nothing too crazy. I'm not going to go through every single glyph. I was trying to just look through some stuff that would be kind of pop out at me. First one for Holy, at least, is Glyph of Prayer and Mending. Just like I think it was called Cardinal Mending at one point, but it is in retail. Your first hit a palm does 60% more. You do have Glyph of Holy Fire, which could give you more range. I was just messing around with some damage stuff. Just like in retail or Cataclysm, you can do this one, so your Smite does 20% more damage by targets afflicted by Holy Fire. Really nice in terms of damage output. You can really pump, man. I think arguably a Holy Priest might be the highest damage output healer out of everybody, out of all the healers, and that's just kind of my niche if y'all are subs of the channel and followers of us. You can spec into Holy Fire as a glyph. It does give you the ability. It can get people out of stealth, so that's an option. Inner Sanctum was used quite a bit. It reduces spell damage taken. You could get increased armor for more self-survivability if you're getting trained by melee. Kind of nothing super crazy. Oh, Glyph of Mass Dispel. This was just needed if you're versing like mages or paladins to get rid of bubble or block. I think that's about it. Reflective Shield. You can do like that big chunky renew, reducing the duration but make it heal more. And yeah, nothing super interesting to be honest. And I don't believe we had anything crazy on the minor glyphs either. Making sure I don't miss something here. Yeah, you're good, you're good. Sorry, just making sure I didn't miss something. I missed something on my last video on the minor glyphs. So that is it for the glyphs. Nothing really super exciting to be honest. So just in general, I mean, the gameplay was just press palm. You can keep up renew onto some of your targets you want to heal, cast flash heal when you need to. If you want a more slow efficient heal, you could just do regular heal. Typically not necessary though. Usually you could just palm and then just do damage for the most part. Get your fish for your procs. So like the proc chance is just so nice. Go into your caster form, use those procs, double flash heal, go back into there, and then I could shift. Maybe I need to do some AoE healing, put down my heal on the team. And then I could just go back to doing damage after that, put some heals out, switch to my damage chakra, start spamming damage, dot things, do whatever I want. So it's really cool verse build where you can just do a little bit of everything. Holy Priest was not only a phenomenal healer, but phenomenal at damage and just super cool, high skill expression if you do want to min-max both in PvE and PvP. In terms of viability, let me just pull up the... I forgot to open this, just bear with me for one moment. This is the probably the biggest private server out there, so this is like the best thing we could do in terms of viability, in terms of retail, like people playing now. I know it's easy to kind of compare to before, but obviously players are a lot better than they were back then. So let me just check, like challenge modes. I don't think it was played all too much. Challenge modes was primarily dominated by Disc Priests and potentially Holy Paladins, just because they could do big damage on them. I'm not even Holy Paladin for that reason. It was mostly Disc Priests. Challenge modes are kind of just, I mean, sort of off topic, but challenge modes are kind of a weird thing for healers because you are working with time. People typically didn't even run healers. They just ran triple DPS or just a healer that did big damage like Disc. But there was, looks like there's occasional Holy Priest in there. But in terms of raids, let me just check here. The raids, I mean, just clicking on some of these raids, we got, in terms of just throughput, we got not a lot of Holy Priests. Alright, maybe Holy Priest is not the greatest in PvE. There's actually like no Holy Priest here. It's actually all just Shaman and Disc. So, I mean, maybe these change. Wow. Okay, so maybe Holy Priests are not great in PvE. Maybe I just learned something. Sorry about that if I misled you, but let me tell you, it's freaking awesome in PvP. So I'll just say that. Our Druid is probably, in general, the best, but I think Holy Priest is the number 2. Probably followed by Mistweaver after that. But you will have fun regardless if you are the best or not. I don't think the meta is too vastly different in MoP. Very good class balance across the board. But that's it, everyone, in terms of viability. So PvE doesn't look like you're the best, but I can't see it being that bad. And in terms of PvP, you are solid, especially like in 2s with some, you know, some of those classes with chakras and the getting symbiosis from druids and getting cyclones, spectral guys, all that kind of stuff. Really, really awesome class. So hopefully you got something out of this. Let me know if you liked the video down below and what other specs you want me to do next. Have a wonderful day. Peace.